This is the live podcast with Manuel, living in full expression.
And this is not the first business I might do because I have done multiple businesses. Prior to this, a lot of them have failed due to reasons. I can be one of the reasons wherein I did not have that proper knowledge or some of the circumstances that I was not able to tackle them. So I have had previous fair share of failed businesses, trying new different things.
Welcome to the live podcast with me, your host Manuel. And in today's show, I have someone all the way from India. This person is an entrepreneur and he owns a marketing agency and he has been doing great things in India. And today I decided to bring him on the show to talk to us about his journey. And this person is Saurabh Arora. And Saurabh is going to be sharing his story with us on how he started his journey as an entrepreneur and share with us his challenges that he has faced in this journey and what he has made of himself. You're welcome, Saurabh, on the show. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much, Manuel. It's my pleasure to be here.
Beautiful. So, Shwab, you want to tell us a little bit about you? You are an entrepreneur in India, you have an Indian origin. So, give us a story of who you are.
Okay. So I'll begin with my introduction first. I'm Saurabh Arora. I have a digital marketing agency by the name of Sociesto, which is doing quite well right now. But that was not always the case. I built it from scratch through my sweat and blood. A lot of patience and time I've gone through it. And to the viewers who are watching, this is not my first rodeo. And this is not the first business I might do because I've done multiple businesses. Prior to this, a lot of them have failed due to reasons. I can be one of the reasons wherein I did not have that proper knowledge or some of the circumstances that I was not able to tackle them. So I have had previous fair share of failed businesses, trying new different things. So if I'll begin from the very starting wherein actually it started. So this actually clicked when I was in school. So if I tell you about my family background, my family has always been an entrepreneurial side, wherein starting from my grandfather, he was a refugee who came into India after the partition happened. So he had to start from scratch. He had nothing. From there, then my father, he's the second generation. He's still continuing the business that my grandfather started. And I've had a look at him closely from the beginning stages wherein he was just trying to push it through to make it to the same level and then trying to exceed it. He has also had fair share of failures and things not working out. So that gave me a push wherein like when he can do it, I can do it. My grandfather did. So there is a base wherein we have that skill, that same knowledge that has been passed on from generations to us.
Well,
And the major turning point was the 2008 crash. That's when things actually hit me, wherein I need to do it on my own. Something or the else that would help out my family and my vision of like what my life should be in future. So I'll tell you a story. This was 2008. I was in class 11th, or we'll say senior secondary. Things happened, as you know, the market crash, everything came to a standstill. My father took a very good hit on his business and we were barely surviving. So that was the point wherein it changed because in school I was not able to get a job, but I had ways wherein I can either save up or try to go ahead and produce an income by just doing people's homework, doing projects for the younger students who need help in terms of the technical side because I've been on the technical side since my school days. I was a part of my multimedia club. I did an early coding session and class from class 8, I can say. I've been trying to develop this skill of for code and understanding different types of codes on all across different platforms. So that was the starting journey, which actually gave me an interest that I can code, I do have that interest. So let's go through it. Though that was the thing that actually helped me push it through. Then coming back to like after school, college. College was the important thing which gave me a wider perspective, like how to handle with people with different backgrounds, like what all challenges would be the one that you would be coming and facing as the first step of getting into that business. Be it any business, just marketing agency or fair share. Like I've also had uh, a clothing business, a merchandising business, which I started very early on during college. I used to sell printed clothing and t-shirts to my peer colleagues and school students. So they were very happy with it. But as soon as I tried to shift it to the retail market, that's that's wherein the problems came in because I did not have the exposure. I did not have a mentor who can guide me through it and tell me like if these are the challenges, how you can go ahead and tackle them. But everything worked out fine, like I'll say, because it was like a blessing in disguise, that reality check to make sure to prepare myself and see what are the challenges that would come up in future, be it any kind of business. Like at that time, I was doing merchandising, so it had a fair share of dealing with customers as well as vendors who had a constant fight between the quality control and the designs which were difficult to get printed on stuff. So that was the first thing that I laid my hands on. And after college was the real eye-opening challenge. Like college done, my computer science BTech degree got done. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, you know the number of people in India. So there is always a high level of competition to get into any job or anything that you want. You're not the only one doing it. There are maybe 100,000 or maybe 10,000 people who are trying to get the same thing done.
Yeah.
Like what I understood from that, what would set me apart, either it's the skill or my determination to not stop until I succeed. Because be it like 3 months, 6 months, or a year, over the time period, who people who cannot have their patience or persist through the problems will eventually phase out, or even turn down their business into like, no, this is not working out. But that's the thing that we need to go ahead and push through, because there would be challenges. It would be a constant problem solving journey that you need to go on. So failing businesses or problems not getting tackled should not keep anyone from pushing ahead and trying to achieve their dreams and goals that they have set. So that was the background that I had. And after college, the thing that actually gave me an idea later on, which I'm executing right now for a marketing agency, was the boom of call center market, I can say, in India, because a lot of things got outsourced from US, Europe, Canada to India in terms of telecalling, managing office businesses, IT structure, everything got transferred over here. So the first job that I started after college, like an official job, wherein I had specific KRAs, it was a job wherein it was a mix of customer service and sales. So that was the first learning step that actually helped me set up my base, because I was able to communicate with people, interact with them, and see what kind of different mindsets are there, or how people want to get their issues resolved, or how can go ahead and tackle them. So that actually opened up my mind in terms of what are the different scenarios that people are being pushed into and trying to get out of those. After that, somehow the process got transferred to another vendor and wrap up, because there is a lot of competition. If you don't perform, there are 500 other people who are in line behind you saying that we'll be able to put in the same effort or maybe more. Just give us a chance. That's the thing wherein do not give up, keep persisting. If you think that you're the only one, that's not true. There are a lot of people who are behind you rooting for that same spot. So the only thing that's holding there and you making sure that you are on that spot performing consistently is your persistence and the attitude of never give up. Of course, there'll be failures, there'll be drawbacks. Your managers might not be happy with the work that you put out. Those are the constant things that you would have to tackle and make tweaks or changes to your current journey, yourself, your business, or even your outlook. Because any change, be it in myself, the business I do, or the things that I'm doing, 1% change here or there can make a huge difference in terms of down the line. For after like 3 years, 5 years, that 1% of directional change could land us in a very different situation, or the goal could be far apart from there after 3 years.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking us through that journey. Now, where I got so much interested in your story was that your grandfather started this business, your father, and then you. So, can you tell us what kind of business? I'm sure it was not during your grandfather's time, it was not internet based business they were doing. So,
No.
what kind of
So,
business were they doing then that had to transfer to your father and then you're picking up in business as well?
yeah. So the first thing my grandfather was started was a juice shop, wherein he had three sets of machines for producing fresh juice, be it oranges or there is a special type of orange that we call in India is Mossambi. It's a it's a combination of an orange and a lime, wherein it will have the sweet and sour taste with a green tint on it. It perfectly looks like a orange, but the color is not orange, that's green. So that was one of the preferred things that people used to consume back in the day. Be it Mossambi juice, the carrots, and during the winters there is a special mix of juices that Indians prefer. That is carrot, beetroot, ginger, and another thing that is called amla. It's a very niche product that is which is used in India. I believe it's used around the world with different names, but in India we call it amla. That is basically a round, small lemon with a huge seed in it. It's the juiciest lemon that you'll see without any skin. Yeah. So that's wherein it all began. And after that juice shop, he transitioned into a small grocery store wherein it had multiple products starting from wheat, grains, and tobacco products, everything that was needed. Like in earlier days, or even my parents' friends say, like if you cannot find anything in Delhi NCR, you want to look for it, go to his granddad. He'll find it for you. He'll bring it for you
Wow.
because he had those contacts. Like there is a market called Chandni Chowk. I believe it's a very famous market you would have heard in India. That is Asia's largest wholesale market from anything from spices to goods to tobacco products or anything that you can see is available there. That too in huge quantities, like wholesaler quantities, wherein if you want to feed a village, you should
Wow.
go there.
Wow.
That would be the best deal that you can get. So he had those contacts, wherein that was the only reason that he was able to find those few things which no one could else look for. So that's what his niche was, like finding those very rare products which people are interested, but they are not easily available everywhere.
Wow.
That's wherein it kicked off. Getting to the second generation, they now my father has transitioned it to purely tobacco and cigarette wholesale because I believe that's the market where it's belong. That's the profit margin he's looking for.
Wow. And your dad is still in that business while you're on this.
Yes.
Okay, so you tell us about the failures you had in business. I'm particular about that because when people set out to become entrepreneurs or when people set out to do business, they think it's a highway road, there's no failure. Tell us about those failures you had in your first business. You said you've had several failures. Your first business, the second, what were the failures and what stories were around those businesses and those failures?
So failures, there have been a lot of failures. I'll say starting from the merchandising business I had, the first failure was establishing a common ground between vendors and me, wherein they could go ahead and manage that the quality that I was asking from them at a price which they know that they can go ahead and produce, but they were not willing to come down to that point wherein their profit margins would also shrink. So that was the first failure, wherein I was not able to establish a common ground between me and my vendor who was providing me those products that I could easily sell across the market. So that was the first failure. The second most important one I would say is I was very naive at that point of time. I trusted people very easily. Like if someone came to me saying that this is the problem that you're facing, I can go ahead and resolve it for you. I would say, okay, you can resolve it. Let's get on board without going through their background or listening to them, like what changes that they'll be doing or what kind of input that requires from our end. I'll say just let's go and do it, which actually backfired because uh, during that time, I had to onboard people which down the line were they could not be trusted. They cheated me, stole from my business, took off clients, bad mouth about me in the market so that I don't get new things or new clients availability. There were situations wherein people who have never met me were like, I've heard about you that you're doing these things in the market. It's like, this is a new thing. I was not aware of there from there, like they told us like these are the people who are saying these things, so you should better take care of them. That's wherein my naiveness got cut short. Before that I was like very naive. Okay, let's go, let's do this. I was focused on the task rather than the team that I had around me. That is the thing wherein I learned it's not just me, my efforts. I could be the leader, the one managing the boat or putting directions to the boat, but the team around me needs to be the one who are paddling, who are putting in the more efforts. I am just there to go ahead and put it into a direction wherein those people or the team would go ahead and execute my vision, because it was my business that I had a vision for. So those the team needs to work according to that. It should not be the other way around wherein I am working for the team. Obviously, it is a case wherein if you take up a responsibility of being the entrepreneur, business owner, or at a position wherein you are the one who's accountable for your team's salary, I can say their day to day life. Because if your business does not do anything or it's not producing the output, I won't be able to support my team. So it's a hand in hand job, but preferably, I'll say you should always keep the business upfront, wherein in terms of you should look to people who would last on your team and make sure that they are working for your team, for you, not to fulfill their own things, wherein their selfish desires or putting in efforts which are not needed.
So, as a leader, how do you ensure that people maintain this? Because you said something that is very striking about you give the direction and the team do the piloting. And while you were saying that, I had this picture that came to mind of a boat, and then everyone who is making effort to push the boat forward is doing their bit, while the captain is giving the direction. Now, you are the business owner, you are the visionary. How do you ensure that these people are also moving in the direction of that vision that you have for that business?
So, for that, I think my first step would be to make sure that all the team members are on the same level, have a good bonding and understanding between them, because they should understand that they are not in a pipeline, they are interdependent. If one person is lacking in some way or the other people can step in and either cover up for him or make that push for him to motivate it, like motivate him to go ahead and put in a little bit extra effort, wherein that would resolve their drawback that they are facing or the effort that is not there. It could be the effort, it could be a willpower issue or a skill issue. Just that small motivational push can change their thinking and let them know that the team is here for you. It's okay that you're having a bad day. Everyone has a bad day. You can go through, push through it. Tomorrow won't be the same. And consistently, if you are able to tackle those bad days, you would eventually be on a day wherein everything works out for you by chance or grace of God. There will be a day wherein it will work out according to your persistence and the efforts that you're putting in. And as soon as that day comes in, your confidence level, your output, everything changes. Your mindset changes. Then you realize, oh yes, we can go ahead and push through it and achieve such a level wherein we had a fair share of bad days, but we did not give up or we did not feel that we are helpless. And also adding to it, like you said, how would I go ahead and make sure everyone is in the right direction? Me being the visionary, the leader, needs to go ahead and interpret the incoming traffic, or you can say the incoming issues, and navigate through them, like which are the ones that we need to tackle, which are the ones we need to steer clear of, or which are the ones we can go through easily. So rather than putting efforts for my team in terms of like things which should not be put in any effort or bare minimum effort could change that, I definitely ask them to do it rather than wasting their time on a thing that won't give us that much output in terms of the efforts that they have to put into it.
Still talking about team building, we've had situations where people, entrepreneurs or business owners, put in so much effort in their staff or their team members, and these people leave, and then you have to start over again. What strategy are you employing or did you employ to ensure consistency in your team members being on board and not going away? Because for each team member who leaves, it's a gap in your traction, it's a gap already created. So how would you be able to maintain this to ensure that this does not affect the business and your vision?
So the first thing that I'll notice in terms of the interview process, wherever anyone presents their resume, if the candidate is like wherein he stays for a business, he works for a business and he's there consistently working for over a year or two, you can see that that person is committed because he does not go ahead and go through the process where in the first 6 months we call it as on job training, OJT. That's wherein they learn about the business, the things that how we are doing it, and learning about different facets and verticals that are running the company. And if they go through it and acquire that skill, and still they are with you working on those issues for the next year or two, you can be slightly sure about them in back of your mind wherein they won't go ahead and leave you within the first 3 to 6 months after the training period or their learning curve gets stopped. What they think the learning curve gets stuck, but that's not an issue because the learning curve does not stop anytime. There would be different challenges, different facets that would come into light, which you need to go ahead and tackle. So it would be a learning curve, a never ending learning curve wherein people with short sightedness, wherein they'll come in, oh, I've learned this thing, I already know about it. Let me get that training program and see what are the different things I can learn. As soon as they are done with those, filling up the gaps that they have with their skill or in the facet they want to go ahead, they leave. They won't support you. They are just for themselves over there. Their sole purpose is to make sure that their skill gaps get covered or any gaps that they have in terms of experience they get covered and they'll move on to the new job wherein either it could be a higher paying one or with better perks. And if anyone comes to me in terms of like my team is like wherein they have the access of coming up to me at any point of time for any issues, any problems that they are facing, be it in their work, their personal life, or anything, because me as a leader is responsible for them. And if my employee or my team is at a level wherein they are mentally clear, they don't have to spend extra time in solving problems which won't help the business right now, that's wherein the push comes in, and they need to be sure that if something happens apart from the office life, we are still there for them. They are the family that we have working towards a common goal. And that's my thing, at least. Like, I believe, like, people who are working for me are my family. If they are facing any issues apart from work, we can obviously go ahead and help them out and tackle that. Because as soon as that outside problem gets tackled, your inner workings, your attention span would everything would be solely focused on the task that is in terms of your team growing together.
Wow. So before you started, I know you had other jobs you did, your businesses you did while in school and all that. Have you ever worked for a company or a business apart from the one you mentioned where you were doing call centers and sales? Was that the only one you worked for or you worked other places?
No, I've worked other places as well. Before starting the marketing agency,
Yeah.
I worked with a company wherein they used to run Google ads. Google AdWords was their forte, and that's wherein that gave me a little push that I already know this thing. I have worked how the other part of this business works. Now I'm learning like how those calls get generated or how people start seeing ads on Google, because before, I'll say 6 months or a year back, everyone depended on Google search. Now AI is there, so everyone is like, ask AI. Previously to that, everything was dependent on Google. Like, you want to know anything, just Google it. That was the phase. Why don't you just Google it? So, if I can go ahead and present my stuff or things that I'm doing in terms of call center, my merchandising, my marketing business, that would begin with people going ahead and seeing what I'm presenting. So that's wherein the Google ads, the job that I did over there, it was a very basic job wherein I had to go ahead and do market research, find out keywords that have the most traffic in terms of the product they were selling and the services they were about to go ahead and get on board. That was my major job, to go ahead and find out each and every keyword or traffic preferences that people had.
So all these jobs you've worked in, all these companies or these places you've worked, how have you harmonized your skill set from there into your business? Because like you mentioned, some people can go to a job to either enhance their skills or to bridge a gap. So having had these experiences, first your entrepreneurial experience from your father, your grandfather, and you've also worked in these companies, how have you harmonized this in your own business? And how has it been helping you to also run your business?
So as I just told you about the Google ads, so during that process, I also learned I also need to go ahead and create a landing page for the people who will go ahead and visit that ad. Then the background stuff, be it the content writing, the dealing with different payment gateway methods, how to get them on board, and looking for other places wherein I can go ahead and market that same thing. Coming to like tackling the problem, during college, being my BTech phase, I had a pretty good idea about coding even in school. That's wherein I figured out, like, by just stacking those skills which I've previously learned. Before getting into the job for Google Ads, I did not know what Google Ads were, how to go ahead and run them, or how do they actually go ahead and execute themselves and put the output that we generally see. So that's wherein gave me like a skill for I already know how to go ahead and develop websites. I'm acquiring keyword research knowledge, how to go ahead and run that, and I just paired them. by stacking them on and on. And rather than going to a business or like learning through an institute, I did it myself by hit and trial methods. I put in my own pocket money just to see if I go ahead and choose certain number of keywords or a certain traffic audience, what would be the output? I risked my own time, my own business, my own money to go ahead and learn on something which should not affect others in terms of people going ahead, learning things, and leaving. So that's wherein I tackled that issue by putting in my own time and effort into it rather than depending on someone else to teach me.
Somebody listening to you right now who may want to start up a business could be asking, how do I go about setting up a business structure for my business? Moving from ideation to execution of my business. So, what were the steps you took to be able to set up your business from the point you decided I want to start my own marketing agency to starting it, to running it, and managing your team?
I'll say the first step is if you have decided that you want to be an entrepreneur, you have an idea, just don't go ahead and head first into the action and start doing it. Take a step back, list out all the things that are on your plate at that current point of time. Like what are the things that you would need in future to make sure that that business is on a stable ground. The first step should be the research part, wherein you need to be very thorough with your research about your plan, your goal, and the thing that you want to start over in terms of business. So, for a marketing agency, I'll take my example. Marketing agency want to go ahead and start it. You need to know what are the platforms, how the platforms work, and which platforms would be better for which kind of product or services. And after, as soon as that you have figured that out, like be it Instagram would be good for marketing for individuals who are influencers and like lifestyle products. Then you can go for Facebook. Facebook Marketplace has a soft corner for furniture or home appliances. Those sell very easily on Facebook. Then you have Snapchat, another social media platform, which would help connect different facets in terms of influencers coming together and putting in a campaign for a particular, I would say, a product. So that should be the first step wherein research is most important, because as soon as you're done with the research part, you can say like you have the basics ready and you have all the information before you go ahead and head first into executing the plan you want. Because even if you want to go ahead and execute a plan, you would have already known about each step, researched about it, make sure that during that research you are able to pinpoint the challenges that would be coming in future, be it like naming your business, your website, that are secondary things. The first step would be the research and making sure the future that is coming up for you, the problems, you'll be able to tackle them, and with patience, obviously, you can go ahead and get through those with the information, the knowledge that you have acquired during the planning phase and the research phase of that particular business.
Then what's the next thing to do? You've done your research, so what's the next thing to do?
So after the research comes in the main part, the execution, wherein you would have to streamline from step 1 to step 10. You won't be doing the step 10 right away or within the next 3 months, 2 months. You would be stuck on step 1 and 2 for the first major half of your time. So as soon as the execution begins, there are a few things that you would have to streamline: your business name, your website, your contact information, wherein people can go ahead and reach you out. And this is the first step wherein they'll go ahead and create the identity of the business. The second would come in as letting people know what exactly you are doing, so that anyone who sees your product or who sees your website, when he visits that, he should know that this is a particular service or this is a particular product that you want to go ahead, you are selling, and it's reaching to the right audience. That would only happen once you start talking about your product, your services, and people on like today would be social media very big thing being there. You can go ahead and create content on it before even you start producing that particular product. You can go ahead and talk about the challenges that people are facing, or how can we go ahead and resolve that particular challenge. So for this second step, I actually remember a story I recently heard of someone who has applied this particular method of without creating a product. They have already had a large amount of following who are eager to see like what is the product that's going to come in. So there is an influencer in India, I don't remember her name. What she did was the past 1 year, she had an idea about a clothing industry business, how it works, because she's been an influencer. She worked closely with different brands. She found a problem wherein, particularly with women wear, there were some issues in terms of innerwear or some kind of products that won't suit some uh, skin types, either be it because of the product type, the cloth material type, or people having sensitive skin. So that's wherein she started talking about the problems that people are facing. As soon as she started talking about those problem, pain points, and the difficulties, people automatically connected to her. They were like, "Yes, I'm facing the same issue." They are going ahead and sharing their experiences, like how are they are tackling that problem, be it through homemade methods or trying their own thing to modify their own clothes or putting different materials in it. So the people already had started talking about it, and any questions that were there in terms of a broader perspective of how people think or what are the major problems that people are facing, those were immediately resolved. And during that first 6 to 8 months that she was talking about it, she was sharing her views, asking audience to give their inputs. She was able to figure out that she segregated each of them through skin type, because people have sensitive skin, less sensitive, then some people don't even feel it. So she segregated each and every type of skin type, had the corresponding material that would go through with them, because she's been talking to people for the past 6 months. They are recommending like what suits them. She'll go ahead and make note of everything, and that's the thing that actually helped her in creating her own product. The product is still not out, but the hype is wherein people are eagerly waiting to get that product launched as soon as possible. She knows that it will take another 3 months, but the hype that has been there, she has already achieved a spot wherein as soon as she go ahead and releases that product, there would be an audience to go ahead and purchase it, because she has found that pain point and how to go ahead and tackle that particular pain point with a broader audience, not just with a niche market, being women's wear. 50% of the population is targeted over here then. So she has figured that out, like 50% is my focus. Let's go ahead and resolve their problem and pain points, and that's the starting point for her then.
Wow, that's being smart. I will come back to this story. So take us to the next step. What's the next thing?
The next step, so you have your base ready, wherein what your business actually is. You have understanding wherein people know about your brand, but they don't know enough. The second comes in finding people who you can work with to go ahead and resolve their issue. So for a marketing agency, I'll go ahead and talk businesses, like what are their pain points and how could my business be, be that change or be that particular thing that would go ahead and increase the business output that they are focusing, or any problem that they are facing, if I can go ahead and resolve it, the business owner will obviously be very happy with it because he's been tackling that problem from quite some time. If my ideas can go ahead and bridge that gap that he's facing, that's the thing. So we need the third step I'll say would be figuring out the pain points for the businesses or your target audience. As soon as you have figured out that pain point, you are halfway there, I'll say, because you have your base setup, your knowledge, audience that you have already been communicating with. Then the third, you've already figured out the pain points. Those three steps would help you give that necessary feedback from the customers or from the users of your services, and that's wherein the main issue comes in. Now you know everything about the product, about the pain points that people are trying to resolve for that particular thing. And you being an entrepreneur or me being an entrepreneur, I won't be able to tackle all the problems at the same time, or I won't have that much time. Even if I'm able to get in and resolve each of those issues, I cannot be the one who is doing each and every work. So the next step would be building a team who can go ahead and be on the same vision line that I have, or be interested enough to walk beside you and get those problems resolved, work for you, and make sure that the customers or the end user who's getting your service or your product feels in a way wherein that product, if that product did not exist, they won't be here. So that product which we are offering is making a change to their lifestyle, their way of thinking, their business output. If that matches even 5% for their expectation, they'll be thrilled with it, and they'll be running after you for that particular product or services because they know by applying that particular thing, their business would grow, definitely grow, be it at a 5% rate, be it like 2% or even 10%, depending on different scenarios, which in terms of percentage is a huge number. Like people don't realize like 2%, 3%, 5%, what that actually gives you if you do that persistently, constantly over a period of 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years. They'll say it's just 5%. That's very, very low margin. But if you calculate that each and every month you're consistently putting out 5% extra, after the end of the year, that thing would compound insanely. That 5% won't be 5% in terms of compound interest. That would be somewhere around 30 to 35%. Easily, that would be giving that major, I can say, if you look back, then you'll see what actually those 5% every day changed. If you look at one particular day, 5% won't cut it out for the broader perspective. But if you consistently see every day that 5%, because so for an example, today 5% would add, I'd say, $100 to my repertoire. That $100 already get added as a capital for my next day. The next day again 5%, that $100 would be 110, because that 5% is also increasing your capital that is being asked to increase for the 5%. And then again, the same cycle for the third day, your capital is already bigger in terms of you have had 2 days wherein your 5% has accumulated. Then the third day, the major capital is grown by not just by 100 or $105. That has actually doubled to $200 because there's been 2 days wherein you have put in that 5% and that 5% accumulates for $100. So 2 days, $200 would be like consistently repeating the same cycle with the people you have around, because the team that you build around you would be the one who would be executing your vision. So the third step would be finding the team who are on the same page, trying to work on the same goal and are loyal to you. Because if they go ahead and come in, they learn the stuff, they'll go just if they are not interested or they are like, I can do this on my own, or that was the thing I wanted to learn, I'll go. I'll learn that thing and I'll move on to the next thing. But if you consider that in terms of loyalty and good people who want to work with you are on the same page, they'll learn that particular facet from you. They'll stick with you to make sure that the learning that you gave them, in terms of you helped them acquire a skill, that skill would eventually help me, because I'm the one who's helping them to acquire that. And they also have like a moral compass in there wherein this person is helping me out. So why not me putting that particular skill in terms of betterment of his business?
Talking about loyalty, how do you build loyalty in your team? How can one build loyalty? Because that's very key.
So my criteria for loyalty would be, I would say, anything that happens or any problem that my team is facing, even if it's a very minor issue, but somehow my team is not able to tackle it, rather than being scared to come up to me that it's a very punity or a tiny issue that is coming up, still you're not able to resolve it. They don't have a mindset wherein they would be scared of asking me about it. As soon as they come up with very simple problems, they'll know that we are on the same page, rather than thinking that that small issue I can resolve it on my own without taking any help and wasting precious time that would help the business, rather than wasting time on small problems. Either they can come to me, or as a team in whole they can go ahead and resolve that particular issue within themselves. I would consider them as loyal, because by resolving that small issue, they are not just thinking about themselves, they are also thinking about the business that they are working for, the team spirit that they are working in, and the leader who's leading that team. Because everyone is on the same page, everyone can talk about their issues and problems that they are facing without any prejudice or pride. That if I go up to my colleague or my manager with a particular problem, how would I feel or how would he make me feel? If it's an encouraging environment, obviously people commit mistakes and things don't add up or go right always. No problem. Problems would come in. As soon as we as a combined team can tackle them, everyone can go ahead and make sure that if I'm not doing it correctly, no issues. I have a team who has my back. Either they'll point me in the right direction or they'll help me resolve that issue. And that comfort level within the team is like, I'll go ahead and ask him. No one would say that being at a stage for someone who's working. So, for an example, one of people has an experience of an year in terms of running a Google ad. They see their colleague doing the same thing. He's not that much experienced, and the senior is having some issues in terms of keyword research or new facets that have come into the business or their skill set. If he can go ahead and ask that same thing faced by his colleague who is less experienced, but he has those answers which would help them resolve that particular issue, we should go for. Like, there should not be any pride or any hesitation between them, wherein he's not on my level or he's still a newbie. He might not be able to figure out or give me the right answer. But we don't know that. Or you certainly can't say that he's a newbie so he cannot do it. Maybe he's a newbie, he has a different perspective, he has a different way of looking at things. I think he can go ahead and help us out or put us in a direction or give us any pointer that we were looking ahead and overlooking for it, which could have resolved our issue or problem anytime soon. So I believe like that would be the loyalty part for me in terms of business and my team, which each and everyone is on the same level and anyone can ask for help at any time without being prejudiced of their position, post, or experience that they have gained.
That's interesting. Now, one of the things that most people face when it comes to starting or doing any business is visibility and marketing. And here we are talking to somebody who had experiences in both brick and mortar businesses and now the online space. How would
Mhm.
you take someone through the marketing phase of their business? The person who just started and has taken these steps you've given, how would the person go about marketing for effective growth?
So, I would say if they are on the beginner side, first of all, they need to go ahead and talk about the things that they're already doing, the broader perspective, the problem statements that they are trying to resolve. As soon as they go ahead and identify and put out that information in terms of what people are generally facing, would attract a lot of people to them because they're also facing the same problem, same concern. If you can just go ahead and talk about it rather than straight away going and pitching people their service that this would resolve your issue or this change can go ahead and make a difference, go ahead and talk about the pain points that you see or the pain points that you as a business or as an entrepreneur or any services that you're trying to sell is resolving that. As soon as you start talking about that pain point, like earlier, the case study that I was telling you about the female influencer, she did the same thing because if she wanted to get into that business, she already knew that there are huge market leaders who are producing products at a very large scale. A very large scale would be in millions. They are producing their product in terms of millions. So straight away jumping head on into that market wouldn't have given her the profit margin, the sustainability to go ahead and continue that. So rather than she head first into the problem, what she did was she talked about the pain points. Similarly, what anyone trying to go ahead and get visibility, the visibility portion. Obviously, you can go ahead and talk to people about your pain points because that's the thing that would attract attention to the issue or the to the solution that you're providing. Until and unless people know about the pain point that we are trying to resolve, they won't understand the solution that they are getting. So for the visibility, just go ahead and start creating content because nowadays in social media everyone is trying to get that same thing, visibility, and they can achieve it be it through very creative outputs, how they can go ahead and create memes around any product or put in information in such a way wherein people don't realize it, they got the actual answer and they are rather interested in the story how you are going ahead and presenting that answer to them.
Interesting. So, as somebody who has this knowledge in digital space, somebody could say, I'm not good at facing the camera, I don't know how to do content. What would you say to such a person who would want to do that?
Say, why aren't you capitalizing on the AI fields that are coming in? Because now, earlier I could say that people had issues in creating content. They were not very open with the camera or very camera conscious. Now you don't have to be the one who's actually saying those things. There are multiple AI tools in all over the internet wherein you can just go ahead and click a picture of yourself, record a sample voice sound. The AI would go ahead and use your face and your voice to go ahead and create the content. You would be working on the scripting part or the things that you want to tell people what actually about the product is rather than you being like I cannot go ahead and talk to a camera, or I'm very conscious in front of people. Well and good. Okay, everyone has their own way of thinking. Like some people are good in front of the camera, some are not. But we do have a solution for that now, which is AI. We are in the age of AI. It's not the dot-com bubble anymore, or the real estate bubble anymore, or any service bubble anymore. It's the AI age. So people have already been working on such a beautiful product. Like AI, people say it is a double-edged sword. It has pros, it has cons. That's for a later stage. Right now, that AI tool can go ahead and get that difference or make that difference for my business, so that I'm not comfortable with doing that job. No problem. My AI tool can go ahead and produce the same or a better output that I would be going through ahead and doing.
Okay, so talking about the aspect of, I think in the technical word is cloning. Now,
Hmm.
talking about that one can use, because you talked about this earlier on and that caught my attention. Everybody is struggling for that eyeball, the same thing you're struggling for. How do you rank up?
Hmm.
How do you make yourselves visible in such a way that you're able to pass your message across?
Every platform that you choose, because like if you take an example for Instagram has now applied, or I'll say stacked their Meta AI on top of their application itself. Why don't you go ahead and ask their AI, which they are producing, they have stacked it on their own application, so that that AI has all the information that is going on the platform, like what kind of keywords are performing, what kind of keywords fit to what particular niche. So that AI itself would give you a baseline, wherein it will give you a broader set of keywords, hashtags that they can use for their good and increasing their visibility. But that won't actually do the whole purpose, or that won't be the entire solution. You would have to go ahead and try different things on those particular topics, use different keywords, and while using those keywords, you'll be able to generate a report, like what kind of keyword is fit for what kind of niche, or is a set of keywords that you are getting, is it helping your business or your visibility? That's the baseline that you can create. And as soon as you start trying using different keywords in your own niche, you get an eye for what kind of things would work for your content or your visibility. That's the first step, wherein as soon as you start going ahead and understanding your particular uniqueness, because keywords and hashtags are very broader terms. They'll go ahead and if you search for a keyword, it will give you a list of a wide variety of outputs. Everyone would be talking about the same keyword, but in a different way, in a different setting, or a different perspective. It's not certain that that keyword would be performing in all the three or four things that you are trying to do. That might happen in one particular niche or one way of presenting it. It might not happen in the other way. So while the starting phase you're using, creating more content and trying to see what works, you'll figure out a baseline wherein these are the things that would definitely work for my thing, and we can go ahead and build from there, because that would set a baseline wherein these are the keywords that would give me a, I'd say, a visibility of 10,000 people. But those 10,000 people, if they are behind you, you are giving them the right information, that that content won't be limited to them. Obviously, they'll go ahead and share it with their friends or people who they know are facing similar problems, or people who can use that particular information to resolve their problem. So that's wherein the keyword and the visibility thing, I would say, would come in, because without trying or without you setting a baseline, with the keywords, you won't be able to narrow it down or choose a set of particular keywords that would definitely help you in visibility.
So, in a way of wrapping up, Rob, with all you know right now, with the knowledge you already have, what would you have done differently starting your business based on your entrepreneurial journey? What would you have done differently with what you know now?
Differently, I would say if I would have gone a different way, the first thing I would do is find a mentor or find someone in that particular niche or business field or industry that I am trying to get into. Look at their work, study, go through it, and talk to people who are working in that particular industry on a daily basis, which, like previously, I did not do. I hardly had any information from the industry experts. I solely depended on the skills I wanted to develop. Wherein, if I would have already known about the challenges or the insights that those experts can tell me, I won't have wasted a lot of time in just acquiring that skill. I would have also stacked it with trying to get network with them and learn about the finer details which are not taught in books or you cannot learn without experience. So I think that would be the one thing that I would change is going and talking to the industry experts who have been already working there, are very well equipped with all the knowledge that they have gained over so many years of experience working in that industry.
That's huge. What biggest business challenge have you faced so far, and how were you able to solve those problems?
My biggest challenge was the initial investment because I'm a very prideful person, I'll say. I I'm not very comfortable with asking for help or anyone who supports like who asking for support for my business. So the major challenge was the initial capital that I wanted to have to go ahead and start the execution process. Like my way of was doing is like get a job, try to go ahead and save a good capital, and while doing that particular job and saving up for that capital, keep learning for the skills that are required, which obviously took time for me. With the particular capital, if I already there were many people I could have gone to. My parents, my brother, my friends, or different investors that are there, especially in India, like you have heard of Silicon Valley. Similarly, we in India there is a similar platform being developed for entrepreneurs and we venture capitalists who are looking for businesses to invest in. But me being prideful, I didn't want their money. I was like, I'll do it on my own. But I'd say that was the biggest challenge wherein I decided to go on my own without the option is available. It's not that the option was not available. I just chose to ignore it and found out the hard way that it could have speed up my business process by tenfolds, I would say. But still, I am happy with it. Like everything turned out good. There would be challenges. That's a never-ending story. As long as I'm able to overcome those challenges, those shortcomings, everything is good. I won't go back and tell myself that this is something which I could have changed in the beginning. Maybe that thing happened, that's why I'm here. That's what developed me to a state wherein I could go ahead and lead this vision, lead my life, wherein my team, everything, my entrepreneurial journey. I could have been a different person. Maybe I could have learned something else or been on a very different path from now. So if you ask me personally, I won't change anything. No, that's those decisions are what made me me right now.
That's audacious. So, what's your secret of success in business? What's the biggest secret you have as a business person?
Consistency would always beat motivation.
Can you go further to tell us why you said that?
So, the most important part of you being an entrepreneur or a business owner to succeed is day in, day out. You should be there. Does not matter if you're having a bad day, you're not feeling well, you're not able to perform to your full optimal strengths, you have other things to tackle. No problem, that would happen. But if you are consistently showing up to your job, putting in efforts could like every day is not equal, but if you're there every day, everything would turn out in terms of cumulative output that you get. Some days you would work beyond your capacity, 100 200%. Some days you'll be feeling like I'm not in the mood to work, but still if you show up, you'll end up doing some of the tasks, not just like if you have 10 to-do list tasks in your repertoire and you're able to only achieve two of them or complete two of them, still that minus two, the two tasks you have already completed, would not linger on and add on to the pressure tomorrow that's coming up. You won't have 10 tasks to deal with that tomorrow, but you'll only have 8. So consistently showing up there would always beat the motivation factor, because you'll be motivated today. Tomorrow you'll be like, I don't feel like I'm not that motivated enough. You won't put in that much effort. But consistently, if you're showing up, trying to resolve problems or cut down list of tasks from your to-do list, it's good.
Interesting. Who are those who have motivated you, so Rob? Who are the people you look up to? Who are the people who have inspired you so much?
I would definitely say my parents, my brother, and a few school friends and school teachers that like opened up my vision or my thinking wherein what is actually possible. Like if you won't believe, it is a pretty similar journey for me and my brother. As soon as we both are computer science engineers. So my brother graduated at the top of his class in the entire university. He had a job before even completing his final exams. But somehow he never got that job because as soon as his exams were over, the crash happened. The 2008 crash happened. His joining got postponed. The first job that he started didn't even pay him $100. The first job I started did not even pay me 1,000 rupees, not $100, 1,000 rupees. But still, he showed me a way wherein, because right now he's at a stage wherein you might have heard people saying the Indian diaspora in United States is performing way beyond any diaspora in the United States. He's been living in New York for the past 3 years, and no one knows in my family that I already have that information in terms of me and my brother having a bond, which he clearly showed me the number, what he makes, and what is the potential. There, I was flabbergasted. Like, what can I say? I did not have any words like what is achievable. I've only seen those things in videos or heard people talking about it like that is possible. I previously I never saw someone personally or knew someone personally who did that. The first example is my brother, wherein he actually worked hard and is at a stage wherein people can say, or I can say, that he is the role model that I want to go ahead and follow the same path. So my father and my brother are the top people I am motivated by. because they've shown me like what actually is possible just by consistently showing up and doing hard work.
So, what books have you been reading? What books do you read as an entrepreneur?
Okay, a lot of them, a lot of them. So I recently just finished Zero to One. Prior to that, there is another self-help book called The Secret. That is one of my favorite books, I would say. What actually it explains is manifesting. You don't have to be scared or hesitant to ask the universe to help you out or anything that you need. The more you ask for help, the more universe would go ahead and back you up and make sure that those things happen without you even realizing. By just manifesting, those opportunities would come in. I think that's the recent favorite that I've read.
Wow.
And Zero to One is also a very good book for me. Like that actually lets people know how to go ahead and take that first step. Like starting from zero, just the first step would take you to one, but that is the hardest step, or that is the step wherein people doubt themselves the most. Those are the two books I recommend anyone who's trying to set on this entrepreneurial journey or any journey that would help them develop a skill set or be a person that of their own dreams. They should go ahead and read those two books.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that secret. And lastly, before we go, Shorab, where do we see you in the next 2 to 3 years with life and good health? Where do we see you playing big? What's your vision? What do you look forward to?
So my vision is my 10-year vision. I'll tell you. I just revised my 10-year vision. So at the starting of the year, I made a list of 50 things that I want to achieve in the next 10 years. But the first thing that was on the list is, rather than taking that 50 things to accomplish 10 years, I want to do them within the next 6 years. And how is that possible? Would be putting in more effort and making sure every year you just put in even 1% of extra effort that would help you not just complete those tasks that you have aligned for the next 1 year, but also the coming second and the third year. If you're able to go ahead and already create a base or upskill yourself enough that for the next 2 3 years the problems that you would be or the goals that you want to achieve should start from day one, not being that if it's a 10-year rule, you go ahead and stick to it till the 10th year. Make sure you work hard, put in just 1% extra, and every time you put in 1% extra, after the end of the year, you will realize the goals that you achieved were not just on your first year cycle. You have crossed over to the path wherein your second and the third year cycle have already begun. So it's still the ninth month, a quarter to go in this year. I would say I'm pretty much done with the first year achievements and on to the second year. So as soon as this year ends, I want to make sure that the timeline does not go from 10 to 9 years, it goes from 10 to 8 years.
That's huge. The good thing is when you surround yourself with people who are driving themselves as you are driving yourselves, I see that pulling you. I think remembering you talk about your brother and what he has shown you behind the curtains, I'm sure that would also be one of the motivation that made you to look back and tell
Yeah.
yourself, I don't have to wait for
I
10 years.
I recently saw his new apartment. I was like blown away. uh, he the new apartment he just got is on 37th floor in Upper East Manhattan, which actually gives him a view of entire New York. One side it's the ocean, one side it's the entire city with skyscrapers looking around. So that's what is the new
Wow.
goal that I just saw.
So, so what would you say about this, about surrounding yourself with people? Can you go just talk about it? Talk to someone who is listening to you about the need to surround yourself with people who will also drive you?
Definitely, everyone who's watching this, listening this, make sure anyone in your surrounding. So in India, there's a saying wherein if you have five people around you, you are a sum of those five people who are around you because you're behaving in a way wherein all the five people align for you. You are working in a way wherein influence from other people can do you good, make changes in you, wherein that wouldn't have been possible without any hard evidential influence. So anyone who has gone through is successful, I would say, or has some knowledge which is better than you, or which could help you grow out of your current state, out of your comfort zone. Definitely surround yourself with those people because those people would make you uncomfortable, put you in places where you would not have a choice apart from growing out of it. Once you grow out of your current comfort zone, the bigger circle that comes in, that is the new comfort zone. But once you go and push beyond that bigger circle, again you're in an uncomfortable position. That would again push you to go ahead and tackle it, increase your comfort state. But don't get complacent with sitting in that comfort spot because if you go complacent and like, okay, I've achieved that thing, I'm comfortable enough, let me relax. No.
Wow.
You can only relax once your goal is achieved. Till that time, there is no relaxation, no second thinking. That should be the only goal that should be working for. So make sure you consistently have eyes on your target, eye on the prize, and keep running.
Thank you. Lastly, what is legacy? What is your legacy? What are you looking back to say, this is the legacy I want to leave behind or I'm leaving behind? What would it be?
Legacy. Okay. So A being the business that I'm developing, I want that particular brand name to be remembered even after I am there. So a very good example I look up to is if you would have heard about Ratan Tata or anyone from the Tata Group. It all began with one vision from an old man in a very small city. At today's time, anyone, if you ask in India, what is the Tata Group about? They won't say a product, a service, a business venture. They would say Tata is about trust. If you're buying a product from that particular business group, you can make sure that you can trust the business in terms of the service that they provide, in terms of the product that they are delivering. I believe you have also used their services. If you know TCS,
Yeah.
TCS stands for Tata Consultancy Services. So any name attached with Tata is automatically ensuring that you can blindly trust that group. That's what I am looking for. My legacy would be even Sociesto being the center point. You want to do anything, grow your business, you want to go into marketing, everyone should say Sociesto is your brand to go to.
Wow.
It's what that's the legacy I want to build.
Wow. Wow. I think that's the best point to leave this discussion on. How will people get in touch with you? How will people connect with you? Do you have a social media handle? Do you have a place
Yes,
where people can connect with you?
definitely you can either put DM me on Instagram. My name is Saurabh Arora. That's the username that you can search for. Or just put in Sociesto on email, LinkedIn, or Instagram. You will find my business page
Good.
because it's a
Interesting.
very unique name. Sociesto, not everyone can copy that.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, so we're still going to put the description, the link on the description. So for if you're watching, you're listening, you're going to have a link to how you can connect with Saurabh. And I must say thank you so much, Saurabh. For anyone who came to you through this program, do you have a special offer for such a person?
Definitely. I would say anyone who comes to me from this particular conversation, I'll make sure for the first month, any goal that you want to achieve, I'll create a roadmap for you without any cost or any charges so that you can start your entrepreneurial journey or start leveling up your skills with the information that is already available on the internet, and that is free of cost. Everyone thinks that they need to pay something to learn anything or to go ahead and make a new skill set or achieve a new skill set. That's not true. Come to me, I'll show you the way wherein you can go ahead and do it for free.
Wow, beautiful. That's a great offer. So, if you're listening to this conversation right now, Saurabh has made a very huge offer. It is time for you to also launch your business, launch that idea you've been nursing for years, and Saurabh is going to willingly help you scale through. And I think at that point, we're going to say thank you so much for being on the show, Saurabh. Thank you for being so generous with your information, with your story. Thank you for being vulnerable for us today, for sharing those weak part of your decisions in life. And thank you for the time you spent with us. And I look forward to having more time to talk with you again next episode. So your last word to
It
any
was
so a last word to anyone who had listened to you.
it was my pleasure to be with you and have a conversation and deep dive into all the topics that we can go ahead. I'm also looking forward to having this conversation again wherein we can go even deeper and delve deeper into the prospects that would help our audience to go ahead and tackle any issues that they are facing and make sure they can grow and achieve their goals and have a mindset wherein they can believe in themselves, they are enough, they can do it. So with that, I would say, yes, you can do it. Just keep putting in the effort, stay consistent, you'll be there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was lovely speaking with you.